Hello and welcome to the Harryman Show, number 81. We have an extraordinary musician that's a longtime friend of mine, been in the music retail business with him for a long time as well. Excellent drummer, excellent keys player, Ray Orona. How you doing?
Pretty good in yourself. Thanks for having me, Dustin.
Yeah, dude, it's in the flesh. It's that I've been telling you about this room, and I finally get to show you in person.
Yeah, man, I remember the whole concept. And you,
Actually,
eh,
disclaimer: you're the one that gave me the motivation to do this.
really?
Yeah, I swear to God. You showed me that
That's
picture of I forgot who it was, but I'm like, oh my God, dude, I gotta do that.
yeah, it was one of my buddies right from Texas. I think. Yeah, he's got his sonar kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This
yeah,
is
you were kind of like the first light switch went off to do this.
awesome, man. Yeah, it looks good, man. And like we were talking about right now, I've known you. Had I not known about how big this was gonna be, I would have been pretty floored, man. But yeah, it looks good. Like I was telling you, it looks and feels like a studio, like a movie set.
Thank you,
Really, really impressed.
thank you. So we go back all the way up what 07?
Oh, seven, yeah.
Jesus, man, I remember selling you like drumsticks. I first of all, you were a talented drummer at all ages. I remember just
Thanks.
watching you play and trying to steal your licks. You were showing me some of my first, I guess you would call it like cumbia, like hi hat, like flesh patterns.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. You remember that?
Yep, yeah, I do.
And I can't do it. And I still
I do.
can't do it.
Yeah, it's yeah, man. That was what '07. We were all friends. I think I was 16, 17 at that time too, and
Yeah.
you had to have been you were fresh that time, but
Yeah, you
every
were Pro Mark 5As, right?
yeah, or sub 5As, and then the 747s, the
That's
Oaks
right, yeah.
that destroyed every
Yeah,
symbol I ever owned. But
crazy.
15 years, man, more.
Yeah.
If not, yeah, it's been a crazy ride.
Well, let's go back to your beginning story. I guess you call it an ordnance story. I know you come from a really talented musical family too, as well.
I do.
But I want to hear like the bare bones when it started, the first spark, and all that.
Okay, so I can go way back to my grandpa's. My grandpa's
Please.
and his brothers. Were from. Well, my dad's family is originally from Pecos, Texas, West Texas.
Really?
They're man, probably about a half hour south of Kermit, something like that. If you're familiar with Texas, they moved over here in the '60s, about '62.
Jesus, so it was like just developing in Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a whole. It was my grandpa and his three brothers that started off. They had a four-piece band.
Really?
And my dad he was born in '58, so he was about 4 or 5 when they came down here. I guess right off the bat, everybody just had the bug for it. My dad started singing when he was 5. Eventually, I think he was about 9 or 10. He jumped to drums. Took my grandpa's place.
Really? So your
Um,
grandfather was a drummer?
He was a drummer.
I
Yes,
didn't know that.
yeah. He started off as the drummer, and he wasn't. I guess from stories, he wasn't a very good one, but he got the job done. And
Yeah.
once my dad kind of got in there, he started playing drums, and then he started singing after that. Actually, I'm sorry. He was 5 years old. He started playing drums, and then when he was about 9 or 10, he started singing. Kind of switched on and off here. And then from there on, everybody pretty much had kids. All of my uncle or my grandpa's brothers. I have about 30, 25 or 30 musicians that have
Jesus.
come and gone throughout my family.
Yeah.
But all through the '60s, '70s, '80s, my dad had bands. I have another cousin. Actually, he was one of your friends too, Tony. He came from my dad. He was the accordion player. So if in case I forgot to tell y'all, it's a Spanish band.
Mhm.
So accordion, bass, drums, and guitar. My cousin Tony, though, he's the one that kind of went with my dad. They started playing out every weekend, different clubs and stuff throughout the '80s, early '90s. But once I was born in '90, I kind of, if you have the bug, you have the bug.
Yeah.
I was with my dad everywhere. I was, 1, 2 years old, going with them to sound checks, going home to set up.
So that was pretty
Um,
much your education as far as gigging.
Yes, yeah, I'm home taught. I never really took lessons. I just observed everybody and everything that I could.
That's kind of shocking to hear you say that because you're badass.
Thanks.
I'm not
Thanks,
trying to be
man.
a
No,
kiss ass, but
it's.
yeah, I've always kind of watched you go, oh shit.
But what was? But the thing is my dad really kind of steered my attitude. As I was never the kid that thought he knew everything.
She was humbling you.
I was very humbled from the get go. So again, about 90, I was born in '90. There's pictures of me in diapers and 2, 3 years old. But when I really started kind of taking it seriously was 5. I would go to my dad to these clubs, to these weddings, and I'd be in the back, man, just sitting down, watching whoever was playing drums, and I'd get to play the last song of the night at at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning.
So there was always a drum set in the house, pretty much.
Always, yes, yeah.
So what age did you start kind of independently going over and playing them?
I want to say, let's see, my grandma or my nana, she bought me my first. It was a Smurf drum set, man. From I want to say it's from Toys R Us or something, and I was about 3 years old, 4 years old, when I started going to that. Finally, my uncle, who also played drums, my dad's brother, he had a bunch of spare parts, and my dad had we'll talk about this some more, but that Ludwig kit,
Yeah.
that psychedelic red.
And that's another segment I want to get to a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, so I started off on that, and then after I think I might have like destroyed the heads or something like that on the kit, and my uncle had a Rogers kit, gave me the Rogers kit about 4 or 5 years old, and after that I was in and out of that room every day as much
Really?
as I could. From what I could remember, in the first house that my parents had, that I was kind of born in, I was nonstop, man. Even if it was trash cans, like I'd want to take the show outside and I'd set up trash cans, and so it was.
So what? I mean, I know you're well versed in genres, but what was the one that was attracting you? What drummers were you watching right off the bat?
So I came up. My genres is Tejano music. It's very regional. Origins of it come from San Antonio.
So you're saying
So-
it changes throughout the country, is what you're saying?
It'll yeah. There's different variations of it. But the main acts, all the big guys come from San Antonio, Texas.
So that's the heart of it.
And that's where my family got that from. Is
Gotcha.
coming up in Texas.
Because
and-
there's a lot of terms, and they call me ignorant. I mean, I hear like Tex-Mex. I
Oh
hear,
man,
like,
yeah, dude. There's
it's just like
there's-
metal, though, like just soft metal. You know
So
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, if you really want to get into it, it was first known as Chicano music, and it kind of evolved into this. Yeah, again, like you said, Tex-Mex. It's all of it. They all mean this.
Bonda or band, what do you call
Yeah,
it?
That's a whole. That's that's kind of.
Like I said, I'm very ignorant
Yeah,
on
exactly.
this.
No. It's totally fine. But
Yeah.
the Tejano music is definitely regional. And if you don't know about it, it's gonna sound the same. It's kind of like any genre.
Yeah.
How many subgenres of country and rock.
That's
and,
what. Yeah, that's the point. You can get caught up on that shit all day.
Yeah. The only thing though is there's no the biggest takeaway from it is there's no like horn, like tuba. That's probably the biggest thing that'll separate it from that. There are bands with horn sections, but the tuba being like the bass instrument, that's how you can kind of really tell.
So I don't want to veer off too much from your origin story, but
Yeah.
is the market still as strong as Arizona is in Texas, or you see it more in Texas?
Oh no, man! Texas is a whole nother
Really?
story, man. Yeah, there's probably 3 or 4 different Tejano bands over here that are trying to make it, or at least trying to stay busy. And luckily, I'm in a couple of them that we're able to keep it going. With a few clubs that are left out here, but
Yeah.
man, if you go to Texas, in every corner, man, there's a Tejano bar, and it's
Crazy.
pretty big. It's pretty big.
So back to your influences, you brought up Tejano music. What were the drummers you were watching? Do you remember?
So, man, the first drummer that I ever watched, obviously it wasn't. I saw a lot of Tejano bands when they would come over here, but I never knew who they were. But I knew locally, it was my dad's drummer. His name is John Tagle.
Okay.
That was like the first drummer that I remember sitting there and watching and wanting to be, learn every single lick that he did. There was a cassette that had my dad's band, it was a live recording of his band, and I would listen to that thing, man, over and over again. Like, that's the first drummer, a local drummer. It wasn't until I started playing with Tony, this was probably about 99, 2000.
This is your cousin?
My cousin Tony, yeah. He was in the band with my dad. The band was called La Familia, or the Family Band.
Oh, okay.
Because every single one of us was related somehow or another. That's when he started to turn me on to bigger Tejano drummers, and really kind of took my hand and said, hey, man, listen to this guy. His name is Chente Barrera. He's actually a Tejano singer. He's now a pretty big artist in the genre, but, man, he's done literally thousands and thousands of songs. Pretty sure he's Grammy nominated. He's probably got a couple Latin Grammys under his belt. So it's that's the drummer that I really took to, and I still listen to more than anybody. I still listen to stuff from the '90s, man. Like
Yeah,
I'm one of those. I'm one of those guys, that's stuck in that genre or in that era. But it's just the golden era,
but
man.
as a compliment, you have very good R&B and funk chops. I think, like I said, you're well versed. I hear a lot of Dennis Chambers in your playing. Was he a big one for you?
You hear that because I was obsessed with Royster, Tony
Oh,
Royster, man. Like
alright.
it was, when that whole like gospel chops thing came through, and that modern drummer video came out with them shedding. But when the evolution of Tony Royster came out, I remember we would listen to that every
Yeah.
day, and I really took a lot from him, and that was during the time. So going back to kind of my origin story, I played with my dad from the age of 9 to about 17 or 18. So
So I remember you having a DW Natural kit. What was
yes.
your kit before that?
Before that, the first kit my dad got me was a Yamaha Stage Custom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you played on that for a couple of years?
I played on that he bought that for my 7th birthday, and I played on that until like 12 or 13.
Because you were like one of the first people I knew that had a DW.
Yeah.
And I mean, they still are like
Yeah.
badass now, but I'm just saying, but back then it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So I remember the day we bought it, man. We had just gotten done at sound check, and you being a kid, being young, you're kind of rough with your stuff. So a lot of
Yeah.
my hardware was stripped out, and I kind of took that as the opportunity, like, hey, Dad, I need a new drum set.
Yeah.
And I would bug them. At this time the internet was really really new, but DW had a site, so I would look at the
Oh,
same
the kit builders.
kit builder, man. I would look at the same 5 finishes. And one day, man, we were at Guitar Center, and I had saved. Oh, here's the other thing too is my dad made me work for all of my
Good.
stuff. So
Yeah.
he always told me,
Your father was a great man.
Thank
I
you,
knew
thank
your
you.
father as well too,
Thank
but I just
you.
want to throw that in there.
Thank you, man. Yeah, he was awesome. He taught me a lot, but the most important thing he taught me was to work hard and be smart about it.
Mhm.
And that's what he told me. He said, "Hey, if you work, if I see that you're working hard enough and you can save enough money, I'll buy you the drum set." So he did. I was a little short, so he threw it on the card. But it was a week before my sister's birthday, or my sister was born, I think, is when he bought me that drum set. So that was in 2003. And again, he said, "Okay, well, I feel like you deserve it. You have most of the money for it, so I'll go ahead and front you the money."
And that was 8, 10, 12, 16, right?
8, 10, 12, 14.
Oh,
In a natural finish with a 22. They were the fast tom sizes.
Yeah.
So they were still pretty new to the game. Everyone was doing the deeper toms.
yeah.
And yeah, I saw it. I fell in love with it, and we were able to work out a deal. And
That's pretty big for a kid that age.
yeah. But I mean, at that time though, I had already been playing,
Yeah.
for 4 or 5 years, 4 years about 4 years, something like that. And it was, man, and I tell you, I was gigging. It was every weekend.
I want to get to that, but when were the other instruments introduced into your life? I know you're an excellent key player too,
Yeah.
but when did that come along?
That came along. I would probably say I was about maybe 9 or 10.
And do you feel like that made your drumming better, or made you think outside the box more? With
It didn't make me. It definitely did, but it didn't start until probably about 5 years ago. Believe it or
Okay.
not. When I and we'll come back to this story too. When I got off a tour, I didn't really have a drum gig. There's so many drummers. I was forced to play keys, and that definitely, in the past few years, has affected my drumming tenfold, man. Like
in a good way?
in a good way, because you start to understand really what the song needs and what it doesn't need.
Yeah.
Because I'd be playing keys, and some random person be sitting in, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, just and I'm really critical on my playing, and that helped me understand.
Yeah. I think the keyboard will show you where to put spaces in the right place.
Exactly.
Yeah. So is that I know you're one of my go-to people when it comes to like audio advice.
Mhm.
Did that help a lot with like producing as well too? Just having that ear for it.
Oh man, that helped me. That helped me develop my sound, or develop a sound. I was always I don't remember who I was talking to coming up. I forgot who it was, but it was their goal was, I want someone to walk in the room and hear my playing or my sound and say, okay, that's whomever on drums.
Oh, I can tell when you're playing.
And so, but the tuning, I mean, the tuning has a lot to do with it. And growing up, my dad had a sound man, and he, I was 14, 15 years old, kind of running around with him, and he started showing me, and that helped me to better understand tuning, mic placement, all of that stuff, and doing sound and knowing what I want something to sound like definitely has a lot to do with it. Um, as far as producing goes, yes, I do a little bit of producing. Me and my best friend, we have a album hopefully that's gonna come out in the next maybe few months,
And
year
this
or
is
so.
Louis.
This is Louis, yeah,
Nice.
Louis S. And I was doing a lot of I do a lot of the pre-production. So what me and him we have another producer out in San Antonio, Texas. We'll do like a pre-production and idea for the song, kind of lay out the groundwork, and then we send it off to him.
Hmm.
So it's nice because they get to handle all of that. But I do handle the live sound. I handle
Nice.
the backtracks. I direct the band. But having a good understanding of sound helps in every aspect.
Well, while on that subject, what are you doing currently? Instead of kind of going to past so much, what has been keeping you busy these
So
days?
what's been keeping me busy, man, is keyboards.
Really?
I'm not in the house that I'm in right now is we're really tight on space, so I really don't get to practice or play drums as much as I can.
Hmm.
So I do help out two or three other bands throughout the valley.
Hmm.
Lately, I've been doing probably one or two drum gigs a month, which isn't ideal, but it's great because it kind of I look at it as a production. Doing my doing Louis stuff and being able to do our own original music to a pretty sizable audience sometimes. Um, that keeps me okay with it. I wish I could play drums a little bit more, but I don't have a.
Well, I noticed you run an interface. Can you kind of go through why you do that? You run your Apollo.
Yeah, so I always we do backtracks.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's where the produce you saying I'm a producer comes from, because yes, I do play a lot of the backtracks. There are a couple people that we use too that we hire if if we don't have the time to do the tracks, but I'm running my click, I'm running my cues, I'm running keyboards because we really don't have a keyboard player
Hmm.
out here that
Reliable.
reliable that can play the music the way that we want them to. So we outsource that or we just play it ourselves.
And are you still when you do the drum gigs? Are you still incorporating like the rolling pads a lot, or?
Yes, yeah. So when I don't have a percussionist, I do the cumbia, which is kind of the second genre or part of Tejano music. It has a lot of congas. It's got cowbells, blocks. It's got a lot of different percussion elements. Probably more like salsa.
Hmm.
So I do have to play those parts on with my left hand while doing the cowbell with my right. So I do that. I use the SPDSX for a lot of stuff.
Nice.
And then we do a lot of other music too. We'll do some old school. So I'll do some claps. I'll do some shakers. Even some 808 hits, if it calls for it. So I definitely depend on the SPDSX.
Now, what are your favorite drum gigs out here? Like venue wise, where are some of the better places for you to play?
Oh man, that are still around, man. I'd have to say festivals, man. Like fiestas, the outdoor festivals.
Yeah.
I know Tolleson hasn't done them for about a year or two. Those are my favorite gigs,
Hmm.
just because you get to kind of live like fast paced. Like those days are get up and go. I like seeing all the other bands play, but I like the sound.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I like hitting the kick and.
To kind of get into a little bit of the drum nerd business, how do you feel about Roland taking out or taking over, not taking out, taking over DW there?
We don't know. I'm a DW guy. I've been a DW guy forever, and I try to switch, and it's just I always end up back home. But them taking over, I think they're just gonna I think expand globally.
Do you think it's going to be more of like a hybrid kind of thinking? Because I mean, John Good did put out that video I was telling you about earlier, where he said everything's going to stay the same.
Yeah.
They're still in charge, but it makes me wonder if you're going to start seeing like options like on a custom kit, like with triggers built in.
I mean, I think they should. I mean, look at Neil Peart.
Yeah.
On his kit, he had those rolling pads on there with DW lugs on there, and I think that'd be a cool
yeah.
addition on how much that's gonna cost.
I say $12K to start. Like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, GD50's what $8,500 or something like
yeah.
that. But I think
an exotic kit's what 6-8.
yeah, if not more now. I think what's gonna happen though is it's gonna help expand globally.
Yeah.
DW.
I didn't realize how big a corporation Roland was.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
when you really like, if you watch any kind of nationality TV show, there's like Roland products, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
You're like,
Yeah, especially UK. Like I watch a lot of gear videos and a lot of people from UK.
I think just as Americans, we're so like closed-minded.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it's here and it's only here. But
Yeah.
no, I think it's gonna be cool, and I'm kind of excited. I mean, there are other companies that have done the hybrid stuff. I'm not gonna say who, but I didn't really work out.
Yeah.
But like anything DW does is pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I think it's. I always compare DW to Apple.
yeah,
You know, I
it's a
think
nice piece of furniture in your house.
I really think that John Good is the Steve Jobs of the drum world.
Yeah.
Just because of all the little innovations he's tried to do throughout the years.
Mhm.
And I feel like when DW does something, they do it right. Even
Yeah.
though there's maybe people before them, I think that they get it right. They only have to do it once, and
Yeah, it's like buying a Tesla.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Tesla drums, iPhone. Yeah, I think it's just quality.
You know, and I think that, and of course, you know, call me a fanboy or whatever, but I think that that's just the way it is, and I think that's why I love that company so much.
Well, I mean, I even love the PDP stuff. I grew up playing it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't get a DW kit until my early 20s.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I'm still young, but I'm saying, but like,
No, yeah, I understand.
even their affordable stuff is still nicer than most.
Yeah, what was it, the
CX series.
CX
I
series,
got
yeah.
plenty of those upstairs.
Yeah, well, John, my other good buddy John, you know, he had that green to black
was the
fade one, man.
that was the MX series.
Yeah, man, and that thing sounded
That was the mate version. Like the finished plier was the CX version.
okay.
I used to have the PDP catalogs and go through them, and like, and then the LX was like the exotic PDP.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were like $600 for a whole kit.
Yeah, and now.
Yeah. So I mean, well, since we're talking about the market, I mean, you said you branched out and played other companies. What would be like your second, third go-to, and what have you experienced from kind of advancing and trying other things out?
You know, I've always tried to be different, and I can say that confidently because you know, different is definitely subjective. But I feel like Pearl or Tama, man, would be would be my next choice.
I have a weak spot for Star Classics.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just their hardware, the way they're made.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to kind of branch out into splitting different woods a little bit more, the maple birch combination.
Yep.
And they sound good.
Yeah, they sound good, and they look. I mean, I see a couple of them here, and it's in person. It's crazy.
They're built like that one over there is actually from 1999. That blue one.
Yeah.
I've had that since I was in high school.
Yeah, and between those two companies, they really capture my they capture my attention.
Yeah. So since we're talking about gear, you just got a fucking badass kit. I'm gonna let you tell us a little bit more about it, but it's honestly one of the best finishes I've ever seen any drum company make. Love it. It's called Psychedelic Red.
Yeah. You
just want to kind of tell the story about it?
Yeah. So kind of straight to the point. My dad, my dad started playing drums or was playing drums. Till he was about 14 years old. At that point, he had to have open heart surgery.
Oof.
So my dad was born with heart disease. So they had to operate on him.
Mm-hmm.
So what my tata or my grandfather told him is like, hey, if everything goes well, like I'm gonna get you surprise you with a drum set.
Jeez.
Thankfully, everything went well, and he got him a 4-piece. I don't know if there was a matching snare or if there was a snare to it, but he got him a 4-piece Psychedelic Red.
And I remember the catalogs. It had the tom holders, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the forks. Yeah,
I forgot what they called it. Like classics. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. I don't think it wasn't Hollywood because the Hollywood had the Rail Ride or something like that. But no, they bought him that, and he played on that until he started singing full time, and then my dad jumped to. He was a instrumentalist. So he jumped to bass. He would jump to guitar. He would sing.
Now, how much are those kits now on reverb?
Man, the snare. Remember, I sent you that. It was $14,000.
Yeah, my dad, he had the mod orange, which was like the orange version of that, and now you can't touch those for under $20K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's like Jesus, man.
Well, and I hear all those stories about them, repainting, refinishing a lot of the psychedelics and the mod oranges, and they're still out there. It's just you got to find I forget what they did, like a black finish or something, and if you
well,
did,
I even like the way the new Levick, what they call them, the citrus mod.
They did a really good job on that one.
Yeah, that's actually on my wish list as well.
Yeah, and they have I haven't heard one, but I've wanted to get my hands on one.
Well, sorry, I kind of jumped on that.
No, you're good. You're all good. So yeah, anyway, my dad played on that kit for years, and cool thing about that drum kit is everybody. I have a couple other cousins that started playing music or wanted to start, and everybody in my family started playing drums. Started playing music and learned it on drums first. A few of my cousins, my uncle, I think even might have played that drum kit. That was definitely the first kit that I laid hands on and was able to learn on. And It's kind of like one of those family heirlooms, I guess.
Yeah,
You know,
don't let that one go.
oh yeah, of course, yeah, never. But it stuck around. It stuck around through for everybody. And when my dad passed in 2021, I wanted to do something special for him. I wanted to retire that drum kit just because I felt like, if my daughter or my future kids ever want to learn on it, they'll learn that. But I definitely,
Too fragile.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I definitely wanted to do something special for him. So I found the wrap on a website. I was gonna do an exotic. I was gonna kind of go that route and get another one, but I felt like this was the right thing to do, and I found the finish and contacted DW. And it took them they had to jump through a couple hoops and get some permission.
Well, this is also kind of during the pandemic, so everything was kind of upside down.
Yeah, yeah, and they had to, they had to talk to, I believe John Good and Don and the assembly line and make sure that it was okay to do this so that they wouldn't get in trouble. And
Yeah.
sure enough, man, they did it. There was a couple things that were my fault. I sent the wrong size, but man, took them about 8 months or so. Got it back, and I think you were probably the first person to see it.
Yeah, I have a video actually.
And yeah, man, it's beautiful. Maybe we could get some pictures or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of.
And then the specs on it, you did 8, 10, 12 on that one?
Yeah, I did 8, 10, 12, 16. My rack toms are cut to 7.
Nice,
and then
nice.
it's a 14 by 16.
And you did the leather hoops, right?
I did, yes.
Oh man, that's class.
Those were, yeah. I can't wait. Yeah, I need to get them. I know we've been talking about getting them in here and doing a review, but man, it's really cool. It's really out of the.
And this was a maple with the inner ply purple heart, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did purple or whatever they call it. Purple heart maple.
Uh-huh.
I was gonna do cherry and mahogany, but I'm stuck on maple.
Yeah. So that's really cool. I mean, have you been taking this kit out, or you kind of been doing any recording with it yet?
It's my main kit. I don't have a lot of drum kits. But I definitely I use it whenever I can.
Mm-hmm.
I plan on using it on these next couple of singles that we're gonna be working on.
Nice.
And then kind of go from there. I haven't recorded with it. I've done some live recordings where I've been able to mix it a little bit, and I'm pretty happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't been able to really dissect
Mm-hmm.
and see what they're capable of just yet.
Now, as far as recording, I know you kind of taught me yourself a lot about microphones, but what is like your dream setup with microphones, and what have you learned is the best, and what do you think is overkill? I know that's a big question.
No, I mean, we can.
What is like your go-to stuff that's realistic to you, like as far as drum mics?
Yeah, as far as drum mics go, I don't think you need a whole set of Earthworks.
Yeah.
Even though they're great microphones.
Yeah.
But I think if you just stick to, if you do a little bit of research and you stick to the standards, 421s, SM57, you can do maybe if you're lucky enough or have the luxury of doing some U87s, or some,
Yeah.
then I'll go for it. But I really like what Warm Audio is doing, man. They're coming up with some clones of some Neumann microphones, and you can get a really good sound. I think under 2K with microphones. Another thing would be like some preamps. Some 500 series stuff. I'm a huge fan of that stuff.
What's your go-to DAW?
Right now it's Studio One.
Really, I'm trying to learn that actually.
I love it. I love it because of it's really because of the live section.
Yeah.
I can put together a backtrack. Add what I need. If we don't have a bass player that night, we'll throw a bass player on there and just add it to the list.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes with my workflow. I've done Pro Tools, and that's hats off to those guys. But right now I'm on Studio One.
Now, one great skill you have is tuning drums. I know I've seen you tune kits super fast and efficiently. Do you kind of buy into like tuning to the note or like the drum dials, or do you think it's all by ear?
For me, it's all about ear. Unless you're doing a session, if you want consistent drum sound, of course you take notes, bust out the drum dial, write everything down. That's awesome. Yeah. But in a live situation, man, let's be honest. Like there's some festivals, where we had 5 minutes to set up. I had to set up my drums with the rack, and I kind of have to get it. But to each his own. Marching, that's a whole nother story too. Never got into it, but I assume you'd want consistency there.
Oh yeah, on that.
But for me, it's a feel thing. As cliche as that sounds. Like I can tap it and kind of. I don't really get into whole tapping the shell thing, but as long as
I think a room is a big part of it too.
oh
If you're,
yeah,
like you're tuning a dead room like this compared to a open room, it's way
yeah.
different.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. There are some bars that I play at, man, and it's all tile and
yeah,
concrete, and it's like
sounds.
what's the point, At that point, you know.
Yeah. So I've been kind of going to the dark side. I've been a Zildjian guy my whole life.
Mhm.
I shouldn't say dark side, but you've been playing Sabians the whole time, right?
For yeah, I think I was I didn't jump ship, but I wanted to try something different when I was about 18.
Oh, you were a Zildjian guy.
I was
Because
Zildjian,
you used to
yeah.
buy the K hybrids.
Yeah, I got the hybrids, and
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
I went through about 4 or 5 of
Yeah, I remember
those
that.
hi hats. I had the K. I was a K custom guy. I really liked the Brilliant K customs. They did what I wanted them to do. I even got into the A custom line, but I tried to play Ks as much as possible.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think when you play anything long enough, you kind of want to just switch just because.
yeah.
That makes sense. Like I've always been a Zildjian guy, but
Well,
I like the way the Sabian China sounds.
yeah, well, it's like drumsticks,
Yeah.
Everybody, now I'm on 3As, and I've been on those things for a long time. But
Really?
I was a Pro Mark 747 or 5.8 Oak since I was growing up, a kid.
I used to play 2Bs, now I play 5As.
Yeah, it's great the
Yeah.
transition, man. But I mean,
Well, I'm older and my joints can't handle hammers
Yeah.
anymore, so.
yeah. But what I found the reason why I went to Sabian is the evolution. I think I played an 18-inch crash in the shop. And I just enjoyed the way that
Yeah.
it felt. I texted you this the other day that it's, you told me about that China.
Uh-huh.
I said, yeah, I like the way that they feel. They sound great, but for me, it was the feeling. I feel like Sabian has a little bit more give to it.
Mhm.
It has a little bit more, I can get a little bit more of a bite.
I think it feels like the stick goes right through them sometimes.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. Like, Zildjian has a very, like, thick feel to it.
I think they feel brittle to me.
Yeah.
And I think, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, it's all about
You were in a
feel.
Mino, too, for a while.
I did. I tried out the Mino. I tried some of the Byzants, the dual
The
crashes.
Sand Ride.
The Sand Ride.
That was a nice ride symbol.
That was a loud ride symbol, man.
Yeah.
It was
It was kind of like their version of the Sweet Ride.
it was
That makes sense.
it was a lot of symbol, but I guess my heart's with Sabian, man. I mean, I've been playing the legacies for the better part of 10 years now, and kind of going through different. I'm on the complex series right now too. I have a couple of those.
What's the lifespan of a legacy?
For me, it's about a year to year and a half.
It's not even that long.
when I went on a tour for a little while, I went through like 2 or 3, legacies, but that's larger gigs. But again, it feels like you're hitting your sticks going right through the cymbal. The other reason I crack them so much too is because I tilt them away from me.
Okay.
At least on my left side, like my right side, I tend to set up a little higher. My left side, I like them low, but I like them tilted back for that feeling. So that's on me why I go through them. But the thing about Sabian is they'll warp before they break.
Really?
So if I see them kind of start to warp, then I kind of be like, all right, well, let's.
Do you believe that's true that a thinner symbol lasts longer than a thicker symbol?
No, it's all on how you hit it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because I've seen thin symbols break right away, and then I've seen thick symbols last 40 years.
Yeah, and that's it's again, it's subjective. Like everybody hits different. There's not a right way and there's not a wrong way.
Do you feel the older you get, you hit lighter or harder?
I feel like I'm hitting harder, and that's because I'm doing my best to stay in the pocket more.
Yeah. You're probably just hitting more with confidence.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, I think I hit lighter than I used to, because I used to just fucking slam everything.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we knew.
Yeah.
We knew, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely and it doesn't help that I play 3As. I just can't get away from that shoulder of the stick. It's a beefy stick, and I'm not the biggest guy, but it feels good, and I have it in my head that I can hit lighter, but I'm still hitting just as hard.
Yeah. So as far as like what gear are you looking forward to if you put a wish list? What's on your radar, and you would be excited to put like a dream kit together?
Man, right now I'm really interested in either getting a 13-inch tom to match the kit, or I want to get like a pancake gong going.
Yeah.
I've always ever since I saw Tony Royster, man, playing those two gongs on his the Evolution DVD. I've always wanted to give that a shot.
Nice.
But I think as far as drum goes, those would be on my list.
There's no other brands you kind of want to venture out into?
I tried. So shout out to Gary. He let me borrow his Brian Fraser Moore snare
Oh, nice.
from Pearl, and man, that thing can crack. It's what a 22 ply shell or something like that, man,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed playing that snare drum.
Yeah, I just want to get into like the recording customs, see how they sound.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of like my next venture.
yeah. I have a buddy who has a Phoenix kit, man, and I'll go and say that I went through the hybrid, the Maple hybrid kits or the Absolute hybrids, and I wasn't a fan, man. I thought
Really?
I thought they were too thin of a shell, so I wasn't getting the response.
Huh.
Or I guess yeah, they just weren't dense enough for me.
Yeah.
And I'm playing the Phoenix kit, man. That's a whole nother world. So I think the density or the thickness of the shell definitely has a lot to do with the feeling of it, and the weight of the shell. But that Pearl drum, man, that gave it to me. Yeah, that did it to me. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, Pearl, I mean, I kind of want to get into like, they had that charcoal, like, cooked, I forgot what it's called.
It's like a roasted.
Yeah, I wanted that kit when as soon as I saw it. Like, that is nice. Like, I could smell the kit.
Yeah, dude, yeah, and it's nice to see Pearl kind of venture off and do that because we sometimes we use the term cookie cutter and
I mean, do you see like custom companies keeping up? Like, I mean, everyone kind of, the internet changed everything. Obviously, like you
Yeah.
can have a custom kit made by anybody in a shop and wherever. Like,
yeah.
do you think that adds a lot of like competition to like Pearl, DW and stuff? Or you think?
I think it does good in the way of them giving them ideas to kind of keep up with demand and especially the young drummers, man. Like there's, I feel like I sound old saying this, but these 20-year-olds,
SJC.
they want something, they want something cool. They want a Super Mario drum kit or whatever, and I can respect that.
Yeah.
But I just can't see myself dropping $3,000 on an SJC kit or
It's more than that.
yeah, no offense to them, but
Yeah.
and it really goes down to and I don't know if they do this or not, but the drum makers making their own shells. Yamaha has their way, DW has their way, Tama, Pearl, and they've mastered it, man, and that's why they've been around for so long.
Yeah.
And it's great if you're ambitious and you want to get on that level, but I think a lot of these custom drum companies need to start focusing on shell configuration and making their own stuff.
Yeah, you kind of have to push the envelope on
Yeah.
innovation.
Yeah, you can't just put a nice paint job on a
Keller shell.
shell or and call it a DW.
I think that's a good starting point for people.
Mhm.
Like I've even thought about doing it myself, but like you're saying, I would. There are a lot, but I would invest into a compression machine and start making my own shells. But
yeah.
Obviously, exotic woods are not at Home Depot.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah, I know. You see how John Good has to go to Tasmania and shit.
Like
You're not
gonna go to Lowe's and find fucking Purple Heart and shit.
I know, man.
So,
But
yeah, I think I don't know. I don't even know what's like the big companies anymore. I think every time I see something, I'm a Lubbock guy.
yeah, oh yeah.
But I think Lubbock's kind of making a comeback too.
They are. I can completely agree, and I think that's because of the style too that drumming is kind of going to.
Yeah, in the pocket.
In the pocket, a lot of people are moving towards bigger drums, and that's why I want to try a 13-inch tom.
Yeah.
You don't see that 10, 12, 13. You see 8, 10, 12, and
No, 13 has disappeared for like a decade there.
And they sound good because I hate 12s, man. I don't know about you. I can't ever get my 12 to sound.
I don't know. I'm always I think I got turned off because back when I was young, when they sold a shell pack, it was like a 12, 13, 16. And these toms would be super deep on a bass drum, and you'd have to I was obviously small at the time, but.
No, I hear you.
But I think a 13 turned me off for that reason.
Yeah.
I think if you have the shallow cut toms like that, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, and that's why I want to do it. I
Yeah.
have the ability to get it cut like that, but I think moving on to bigger drums, more traditional sounding. I definitely do have the Ludwig. Our Ludwig kit is on my list as well too. I mean, those Vista lights look great. The 50th anniversaries, like I'm super.
They're a little hard to control though.
Mm-hmm.
I actually haven't set one up in this room yet, but
yeah,
I know like in it's a regular living room, they're just like too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, and it's all attack that you're getting, and I feel like this will definitely tone it down.
Yeah. So we spoke about the past and the present. What's in the future? Like, what are you looking forward to gig wise? And is there any dream gigs out there you would like kind of want to play one day?
So I mean, as of right now, like I'm a hired gun at this point. I'm helping out 2 or 3 different bands throughout the valley. I do have some stuff in the works. I actually getting into some tribute bands.
Really?
So the Group Maná, Spanish rock band, I've gotten hit up recently.
He came in the store one time.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
I sold him some Pisces.
Really?
Yeah.
You had to buy him?
Huh?
You had to buy him?
I guess they broke on tour and like he said Pisces is gonna reverse me. Alex
Gonzalez, yeah.
Yeah, I met him. I didn't even know it was him for like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll start licking those guys.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I have a good friend that I went on tour with another artist. He has a Spanish rock band throughout the valley, and he's hit me up for a couple things. So hopefully that comes through. My best friend and I have his album that's going to be coming out. Hopefully in the next few months, maybe next year. So we plan on touring with that one, mostly through Texas. Hopefully we can make it, out to Vegas for the convention they got out there. We did do a mini tour a couple months ago throughout New Mexico and Texas too, so that was a lot of fun.
Now, do you feel like those have more popping scenes in Phoenix, or do you think? How do you feel
Mm.
about? Like, you just think it's a different vibe, or it's all the same everywhere right now?
It's different. It's different, in different cities. I know Phoenix has a good, great live music scene.
Hmm.
But I mean, in like the cover band scene, like it's really become oversaturated. To where it kind of turns into a job.
Yeah.
And that's everybody's dream is to go touring and go out of state. So I feel like when we do like those 3 or 4 shows, even if it's in 5 days,
Hmm.
that's more satisfying and gratifying for me to go out there knowing that they'll appreciate that genre.
Well, you got to keep balance in life too.
Yeah, of course.
You got family, jobs, whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a hard thing to kind of control these days.
Yeah, and I agree. But as far as like what I have looking forward to, it's those 2 things, and if I get hired for some bigger gigs, like I have a gig in Tucson in a couple weeks
Oh yeah.
that's a pretty good, it's a festival, so that'll be fun to get out there. But what are they called, the Weekend Warriors? I guess that's what I am, right? And
Gotcha.
it's good, it's fun. I get to hang out with my family, with my friends and stuff. But that's kind of keeping me, that's helping me get it out of my system because again, we have family. I have a family, and
Yeah.
I want to be home as much as I can for them and kind of
So, what would be the biggest part of advice as a young musician you go back and tell yourself at this point?
learn how to read.
Yeah.
Like, it's never too late, but
Yeah.
being able to be fluent and, there's a lot of gigs out there that I probably would be called on or could be called on, and it's can you read? Well, kind of, but
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest thing. Or join marching band, man, at least to
Yeah.
get more discipline and learn how to just play the part and play the part correctly.
Yeah, I went through that, but I just wasn't a fan of drum lines for a long time.
Yeah.
But I kind of wish I would have focused on it more.
Mhm.
Just chop wise, learning how to play traditionally, like just
Yeah.
having an ear for octaves and tenors and all that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother art form, man. Outside of drum set, but yeah, I would say that you know, and just play more, learn as many styles as you can. Like I learned a lot of styles late, and kind of late. I guess I was 18, 19 years old when I really started playing,
Hmm.
R&B or old school, or I would say learn as much as you can authentically, before anything else.
Well, Ray, it was a big honor to have you in here.
Of course, man.
So, what's the next gig we can, what's the next gig we can check you out?
So we're gonna be doing a benefit dance for Louie's dad. This is gonna be on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check it out here real quick. But it's gonna be at this place called Cactus Jack's.
Oh, nice.
That's out in Ahwatukee. So we're gonna be hitting I think at 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be a little fundraiser. And then I'll be playing, casinos and weddings and club gigs kind of all throughout the year.
So, what are drummers to watch right now? Like, who do you geek out on YouTube and all that stuff at this current day?
Man, I'm really impressed by JD Beck.
Oh, the young kid, right?
Yeah, man,
that's weird stuff.
It's weird stuff, but it's refreshing. It's really, really refreshing.
Did you watch the Zildjian dates with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. And then I'm also, I've kind of just been going back to the old drummers.
Yeah.
Dave Weckl and
I just got back
Gad
on the Neil Peart phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, I go back and forth with him
Mhm.
all the time, but like, yeah, you're right. I just go back to like nostalgia.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, but JD Beck. There's also he's Justin Bieber's drummer too. I can't remember his
Yeah.
name, man, but he's a dope cat too, man.
Nice. Well, like I said, Ray, it's a real honor. I'm happy you're here.
Thanks, man.
We
Thanks
got to
for
do this
having me.
again, see where you're at in the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome. Have a good day.